Before you hire a realtor, you need to do these 5 things first. I'm a licensed real estate agent and I'm on a mission to help people understand how to sell their own homes without needing to hire a realtor. Not everybody needs to hire a realtor, and so we make these videos every week to help people understand how to sell their own homes. The first thing that you really need to nail down before hiring a realtor, or maybe you don't hire a realtor at all, is understanding your reason for why you're wanting to sell. Because if your reason for selling is something that's kind of ambiguous and maybe you don't feel very strongly about why you're selling, then you can kind of market the home a little differently. Maybe that means that you're pricing the home a little higher than maybe some of the other homes in the neighborhood. But if your motivation or your reason for selling is much stronger, and maybe you have a very specific plan or specific focus that you're aiming for, then you might need to market that home differently. Maybe that means you're pricing the home more aggressively. Maybe it's more competitive to some of the other homes in the neighborhood. Not only does your motivation for why you're selling your home affect your marketing, the pricing of the home, but it also affects the negotiating. If somebody is offering maybe much lower than list price and your motivation is not very strong, then again, no need to take a lowball offer. However, if your motivation is very strong, then maybe you need to be a bit more flexible in the negotiating process. This could also affect timelines. When somebody makes an offer to purchase your home, typically one of the details that's in that offer, which is many details, one of those details is going to be the closing date, or at least like a projected closing date. If you're needing to sell right away, then you might need to negotiate a closing date that's much sooner. But if you have the ability to wait a while, then you kind of have a bit of leverage there, and you can have a bit of a longer closing date while negotiating some of the other details in the offer. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Home Sale Hacks, and we make videos every week about how to sell your own home. The next thing that you absolutely should do before hiring a realtor is researching your home's value and the market. Please, for the love of God, do not rely on Zillow's estimate for your home value. This is just an algorithm where they're not really taking everything into account. They don't know what the other homes in your neighborhood really looked like when they determined that Zestimate of your home. The Zillow algorithm doesn't know if that other home in the neighborhood was move-in ready. They don't know if it was purchased by an investor. They certainly don't know how much closing costs that seller had to contribute to be able to sell their home. So there's a lot of factors there that you really need to understand when it comes to pricing your home. When you're doing your own research for pricing your own home, some of the things that you want to look at with the recent solds in your area or in your neighborhood are the bedrooms, the amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, the size, the square footage, the lot size. The age of the home is also a big one as well, and you want to ideally find homes that are similar to yours. When I do market research like this, I typically have a window of like 5 years prior to the home that I'm listing and 5 years after. So if the home that I'm listing is built in 2010, then I look at homes that are from 2005 to 2015, or same thing, 1995. For the home that I'm listing, I'm looking at homes between 1990 and 2000. And I kind of just use those as the comparables. Same for like square footage. If I'm listing a home that's 4,000 square feet, I typically look for homes that are between 3,500 and 4,500 square feet. If they're less than 3,500 or more than 4,500, they wouldn't really be a comparable. And if there are many homes nearby yours that are even closer in size, then you could argue that even 500 square foot difference is also not a comparable. It really just depends on what the other homes in your area are selling for and how much of a size difference you're seeing. Now, you don't necessarily need to go with the average. If you have 5 other homes in your neighborhood that have sold and you see that the average is 500,000, I wouldn't necessarily list your home at 500,000. You can kind of go to the high end, assuming that the home that you are selling is move-in ready. Another big factor here is, what do the interiors of these homes look like? If many of the other homes in your neighborhood are selling and they are move-in ready, then you need to factor that in when you're listing and pricing your home. Certainly another big one is whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. If you're seeing that there are a lot more sellers in your area than buyers, then you have a lot of competition, and so you might need to be marketing that home more aggressively or pricing that home more aggressively. Conversely, if you're seeing that there are a lot of buyers and very few sellers, then obviously you, the seller, have a lot more advantage and you can price that home much higher, or maybe it does not require as many showings. So understanding the market is certainly going to be a very big part of that. You can kind of see when you look at Zillow and you can see how many homes are being listed in your area versus how many homes are being sold. While you would never see more homes being sold than listed, because obviously you need a home listed in order for it to sell, I would say if you're seeing 75% of the homes sold versus listed, then it may be more like a seller's market. But if you're seeing twice as many homes coming on the market as you are seeing homes sold, then it's a safe bet that it's more like a buyer's market. That is to say that there would be less buyers than there are sellers. At the time of filming this video, in most parts of the country, it is certainly a buyer's market. There are many sellers and there are very few buyers because of things like the increased interest rates and increased closing costs and purchase price. All of these things kind of came together in the last few years for there to be far less buyers. Number 3 on the list of the 5 things that you need to do before hiring a realtor is walk through your own home like you are a buyer. This is a great way to see your home objectively, maybe through the eyes of someone who is considering buying the home. When you are going to look at a home that you're considering buying, obviously you're not really wanting to see clutter in the home. You're not wanting to see maybe some of the personal items that that person or that homeowner has. You don't want to see them out. And so these are the kinds of things that you want to try to remove or put away before you're having showings or pictures for homes. Decluttering is a big one. Another big one is making some repairs. Maybe if you're walking through your home and you're saying, oh, that DIY project that I have put off for many years, maybe it's time to get that project finished. Maybe it's repainting the home. Maybe it is doing new flooring in the home. Whatever it may be that you're walking through the home and you're seeing, hey, these look like some things that are maybe damaged, or anything like that that could make a buyer feel like something is wrong with the home. These are some of the fastest deal killers for many buyers. And so anything that looks like there could be something wrong with the home, those are the things you want to repair or remove or clean or whatever it is. You want the buyer to not necessarily feel like something could be wrong with the home. Another big one is finishes that could be outdated. Maybe they're working just fine and they look just fine, but if they are from 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, then it might be time to modernize some of these finishes. Number 4 on the list is trying to sell your own home without a real estate agent. You certainly can do this. You can absolutely apply all of these principles that we talk about in these videos. And if you feel like you're able to handle all of these things, then by all means, there is no need to hire a realtor to sell your own home. If, however, you're feeling like, hey, these are kind of like a lot of things to think about, maybe you don't want to have to handle all of these things, coordinate all of these things, you certainly can feel free to call, text, or email me. We have agents in all 50 states that would be happy to help take over all of those responsibilities for you to be able to get your home sold for max price. But keep in mind, you do not need to hire a realtor. You can certainly try to sell your own home for sale by owner. A sign in the yard goes a long way. Marketing your home online is certainly a big one. Putting your home on places like Zillow or Realtor.com, Redfin, Facebook Marketplace, maybe Craigslist if that's something that you're comfortable with. All of these things are super helpful for being able to list your own home for sale. And so why not give it a try? List your own home, see how the showings go for a few weeks. It's very possible that you could sell your own home without having to hire a realtor and pay all of those commissions. And so this is a big one for many people. You don't want to forget about this one. Maybe trying to sell your own home before hiring a realtor. And then number 5 on the list of things that you should do before hiring a realtor is really understanding the nuts and bolts of listing your home, doing the negotiations, looking over the contract. These are some of the main points or the main parts of selling your home. Things like where to list your home and how to actually list your home online, reviewing contracts, pricing strategies, marketing your home, how to market, where to market your home for sale. These are some big ones, and I actually went over all of these points in the last video I made, selling your own home without a realtor. You can check out that video right here. I'll see you in the next one.